Okay, so today's topic is immunity. From today, we are going to start the topic of immunity. Very, very important topic. Uh, Today, I am going to take the lecture like yesterday's. First meeting for 40 minutes, again 10 minutes break, and then after 40 minutes, I am again going to send you link, and then again there will be lecture for 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So the next section will be for discussion. Okay, if there are any queries or if there is any assignment, I will going to tell you in the next lecture. Okay. So immunity, the topic of immunity. What is immunity? Yes. Yes, what is immunity? It is considered as a defense against infection of against any pathogen. That is, it may be bacterium, it may be virus. So immunity is considered as a defense against infection of any pathogen. Now there are natural defense mechanisms present in our body. So there are the examples from this natural defense mechanism. The first is through skin and mucous membrane. The first natural defense is through skin and mucous membrane. That is the skin and mucous membrane. Mucous membrane related to respiratory system, gastrointestinal system, and urinary system. And how this defense mechanism is working? With the help of hyaluronic acid. It acts as a barrier in the tissues. So with the help of hyaluronic acid, there will be defense mechanism of the mucous membrane related to respiratory system, GI system, and urinary system. So hyaluronic acid, it acts as a barrier in the tissue. It helps to prevent the infection or which enters into the at the cellular level. This hyaluronic acid kills that bacteria or viruses which enters into the cells of mucous membrane. Now the second defense mechanism is Lactobacillus acidophilus. It is a protective barrier of vaginal epithelium, causes acidic vaginal secretions. This Lactobacillus acidophilus, it creates the vaginal secretions acidic, which are protective against staphylococci or staphylococcal infection. So second defense mechanism which is present in our body, we also call it as an innate immunity that is present from birth. Okay. So this particular things, they are present since birth. Lactobacillus acidophilus. Now third defense mechanism barrier is lactanin, that is protein. It is a protein present in the human milk and it proves protective against streptococci and prevents puerperal mastitis and neonatal throat infection. So this lactanin, it is a proteinous in nature. It is present in the human milk. Okay. And the last defense mechanism which is present in our body since birth is lysozyme. It is lysozyme, that is this enzyme present in the various secretions and this lysozyme, it is rich in WBCs which is present in the tears and nasal secretion and it acts against the gram-positive organism. It is a bactericidal enzyme, lysozyme. It is present in the tear and nasal secretions. So these are all the defense mechanism. It included in the defense mechanism which are present since birth. That is, the first is through skin, Skin is a natural defense against various factors. Then mucous membrane, it contains hyaluronic acid. Mucous membrane, this mucin contains hyaluronic acid. It acts as a barrier in the tissue. Then lactobacillus acidophilus, it is present in the vaginal epithelium, which makes the vaginal epithelium or secretion acidic and which is protective against staphylococci. Third is lactanin, that is the protein present in the human milk and protective against streptococci and prevents perpural mastitis and neonatal throat infections. Okay, so these are also the it is also included in the immunity, but which immunity? It is an innate immunity. We call it as a defense mechanism, which is naturally present in our body. Okay, now the next part we are going to discuss today is about classification of immunity. Very, very important topic, my dear students. Classification of immunity. Okay, so we will start with this classification. All of you know that this immunity get classified into innate, that is natural immunity, and acquired immunity. What is innate immunity? The resistance against infection, it is present from birth, which is passes from our parents. Okay, innate or natural immunity. So here for this immunity, recognition of organism is not needed. Okay, no need of any infection. So this immunity, it is present since birth. Innate immunity, that is natural immunity. Now it is related with three factors: species related, racial immunity, and individual immunity. Innate immunity, it is described with the help of three factors, that is species related, racial, and it is individual. What is species related? That is, it is present in the different species, that is in the animals. It is specifically, it is related with that particular species, that is birds or cattle and any wild animal or domestic animals. It is present different with that particular species. Now, what are the diseases, examples of the species related immunity? The first example is anthrax. Anthrax, it is spread from the domestic or wild animal and it infects the animals in between. Anthrax. Then Rinderpest is again the second example. It is a viral disease of cattle or domestic animals like buffaloes, deer, wild animals like deer and giraffes. It is present in that animals also. So it is present, this particular infection, it is present in the wild. Still people are coming. Why you are so late? So anthrax, it is present in the domestic or wild animal. It could not infect the human beings. It infects the animals in between. Infections, they spread from animal to animal. Okay. Now bird flu, it is also known as avian influenza. Bird flu, it is also known as avian influenza and it is spread viral infection which is present in the birds and passes from bird to bird. So it is related or restricted in that particular species. It is called as species related immunity. It is again innate immunity. They are susceptible for that particular infection. This species, they are susceptible for that particular infection. It is called as species related innate immunity. Now second part is about racial immunity. It is this immunity, it is present or shared in all members of that particular race. That particular race, that is Asian peoples or African peoples, European peoples or Chinese peoples, like that. Racial immunity, it is restricted towards in that particular membrane, in that particular members of that particular race. Now what are the examples of this particular immunity? Certain African races, they are more resistant to malaria, that is more specifically falciparum malaria and yellow fever. They are resistant to that particular infection, that is malarial infection, more precisely falciparum malaria and yellow fever, but they are susceptible for tuberculosis. They are susceptible for tuberculosis. Like Asian peoples, they are also susceptible for tuberculosis, but European peoples, they are resistance against tuberculosis. So this is the racial immunity specifically present in that particular uh, races. Now third is individual immunity. This individual immunity, it is again related with that particular individuals, related to age, related to hormonal balance, or related to malnutrition, debility, lack of vitamins. These are all factors, they are associated with individual immunity. Okay, so if the person is alcoholic, then he is susceptible for liver infections. In case of malnutrition, that person becomes susceptible for various diseases, deficiencies, or tuberculosis, like that. Okay, lack of vitamin, again susceptible for various vitamin deficiencies. So this is innate immunity, which provides resistance and which also provides the susceptibility. Okay. Yes, any queries related to this part? Yes.
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So this is all about of innate immunity, that is natural immunity, related with species, related with races, and related with individual. Okay. Now second part is acquired immunity. This acquired immunity, it is related with recognition of any organism of, or recognition of any pathogen. It is related with recognition of any pathogen. So recognition is needed for acquired immunity. When pathogen enters in your system, this immunity get activated. So there are two types of this acquired immunity: active and passive immunity. Active immunity and passive immunity. Okay. So what is active immunity? That we will see in next slide. Okay, acquired immunity. Acquired immunity, active and passive immunity. Active immunity, in this there is formation of antibodies takes place. In acquired immunity, formation of antibodies takes place when this organism enters in your system, in your body. After that, formation of antibodies takes place. Okay. Now, what is passive immunity? In passive immunity, the substance or that subject is immunized by prepared antibodies. The subject is immunized by prepared antibodies. It's called as passive immunity. Now, active immunity again get divided into two: natural and artificial immunity. Natural, active immunity. Natural immunity, where it gets activated, when it get activated, natural immunity, after first attack of any organism, or after repeated attacks of that organism. Okay, natural immunity, that is for example chickenpox or measles. If you get that measles in childhood, there is least chances of again repetition of this particular infection in adulthood. Okay, or zero chances of getting this particular infection again and again. So we develop then natural immunity, that is after attack of first infection or after attack of repeated infection. This is natural immunity. In that, there is formation of antibodies takes place after entry of that particular organism. The second is artificial immunity, active artificial immunity. It is created after inoculation of pathogens. after inoculation of various pathogens, this particular artificial immunity develops. So what are the pathogens? But these pathogens, they are not active. They are semi-active pathogens which get inoculated in that particular person, and immunity develops after that. So there is inoculation of bacteria, there is inoculation of viruses or various toxoids or various factors they inoculated. They are the antigens, which are inactive antigens, which act as an antigen, but they are inactive. These pathogens, they are inactive, and they creates or they stimulates the formation of antibodies after their inoculation. So it is the artificial way. So, any one of you know the example of artificial this active immunity? Yes, yes, Urvi, Ashwini, yes. What is the example of artificial active immunity? Any one of you? You can answer.
Ma'am, polio dose?
Yes, yes, right, right. Polio dose. Then, yes. Anyone else? So polio virus, it is inoculated in the body in the inactive form. Okay, so it stimulates the body to form the antibodies. It is the active artificial way of immunity. So it is the formation of antibodies takes place after inoculation of this halfly active or semi-active organism in the body. Any other examples about bacteria? So we call them as vaccines. No, these are nothing but the vaccines which we give the vaccines to that particular person to immunize them. Okay, so bacterial vaccines. If you know any, BCG vaccine, that is which prevents the tuberculosis. Then cholera vaccine, which prevents the cholera. Okay, so these are the examples of bacterial vaccines. Then what are the examples of viruses? Smallpox, then influenza, measles, then hepatitis. So these are the examples of viruses which inoculated in the body. Then the toxoids also get inoculated in the body, artificial inoculation of toxoids. What are the toxoids? Name of the toxoids? Anyone of you know? Yes, it is tetanus toxoid or diphtheria. The vaccine diphtheria is again inoculated. So which creates the artificial active immunity, acquired active artificial immunity. And the last example is polio virus. Polio. Please unmute yourself. Who is there? Just entered. Please unmute yourself. So this is all about of active immunity. Formation of antibodies takes place after inoculation, either naturally, that is first attack, or second attack of that particular infection or of that particular pathogen. Naturally immunity get developed, and artificially when we inoculate or inject any halfly active that organism, viruses, either bacteria, viruses in the body, the formation of antibodies takes place after that. Okay, so natural and artificial. Now next is passive immunity. That is, subject is immunized by prepared antibodies. These antibodies, they get prepared outside and introduced in the body. So there are two types of this passive immunity again, natural and artificial. What are the examples of natural? What is the natural immunity? That is prepared. The antibody is prepared outside and enters into that particular subject. Here it is written that is from mother via milk or from placenta. We get this immunity or the prepared antibodies from mother's milk and via placenta. So naturally, it is naturally inoculated in our body. Okay, understand? Is there is any problem of understanding? So natural and artificial. Now artificial immunity. What is artificial immunity? That is by injection of serum of actively immunized person. By injection of serum of actively immunized person. That is the antibodies they prepared outside. That is the antibodies for tetanus. That is tetanus serum. It is these antibodies they get created in the horse or any other animal, and this antibody prepared in that particular animal and introduced in our body in the form of serum. Okay, so this particular serum of tetanus uh, introduced in our body. The second example is gangrene, gas gangrene. So the serum of that particular infection introduced in our body and we get immunized. So this is all about of acquired immunity. So we discussed about innate immunity. Innate immunity, it is related, it is explained related with the species, it is related with the races, it is related with the individual. Then acquired immunity is innate immunity. It doesn't require any introduction of organism or infections, but acquired immunity, it requires the infection or introduction of any organism. There are two forms of acquired immunity: active immunity, passive immunity. In passive immunity, the formation of antibodies takes place. In active immunity, formation of antibodies takes place, and passive immunity, substance is immunized by prepared antibodies. Active immunity, natural, artificial. Natural after attack of infection or repeated attack of infection. Artificially, that is inoculation of pathogens, halfly active or inactive pathogens introduced in our body, and this stimulates the formation of antibodies, like in the vaccines, bacterial vaccine, viral vaccine for viruses, that is the, and thirdly the toxoids. Okay, passive immunity, the substance is immunized by prepared antibodies, naturally, artificial, naturally mother's milk and via placenta, and artificial, that is by injection of serum of actively immunized person. Okay, yes, any queries? If there is any query, please you can ask me. Okay, now the next part of this immunity section is specific immune response. This specific immune, there are two types of immune response: primary response and secondary response. Primary response, there is first attack of infecting agent. This primary response, it gets created after first attack of infecting agent. So there are two types, that is disease, there is directly through the disease, that is clinical, or maybe it may remain subclinical, that is without showing any symptoms. Or clinical means showing the symptoms, that is the primary response. Showing the symptoms and it remained dormant, that is what is subclinical? We could not see any symptoms of that particular disease, that is the primary response. Then first is disease, there is either disease which is present clinically or subclinically. Second is specific immune response, that is immune reaction, and in that immune reaction there is destruction of antigens and there is recovery. So primary response, they are of two types. Primary response, they are of two types, either disease or either followed with the specific immune response, that is immune reaction, destruction of antigen and recovery. Now second is secondary response. Secondary response. Secondary response, that is firstly that is immune reaction, it is the first reaction, and second is Specific immune memory. In secondary response, this specific immune memory is very, very important. It is for variable duration or may it is remain for many years. It is specific with specific recognition of antigen. There is rapid amplification of immune response. What is amplification? More immune response. Increase intensity of immune response is more. It is called as amplification of immune response. It is very rapid and there is destruction of antigen is also very fast and no disease or specific immunomemory get enhanced. Okay. So no disease will be there in case of the secondary response or specific immune memory get enhanced. In that particular, this memory remains and there will be either there will be no disease. So secondary response, it is very much exaggerated immune response, which is very rapid, with rapid destruction of antigen, and there will be no any disease. Okay, so primary response and secondary response. Now our timing of this lecture is running out. In 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to shut down this, end this meeting. I will call you back in 10 minutes and we will go proceed. We will go further to our next part. Now the next part will be there. That is the antigens. What are the antigens? Structure of antigen, characteristics of antigen, and then we will going to discuss about what is cell-mediated immunity. Today we are going to stop with what is cell-mediated immunity. Tomorrow we are going to discuss about humoral immunity. Okay. Now, what is antigen? If anyone of you know what is antigen? Yes. What are antigens? Have you heard this word before? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you heard this word before. So what is antigen?
Yes.
They are the immunogens.
Produce.
What are the antigens? Yes. They are the disease producing agents. No. What are the antigens? They
Yes.
are the foreign material or foreign any proteins which enters in our body. Okay. They are also in
Yes,
proteinous
ma'am.
in nature.
It is
Antigens.
chemical substance.
Yes. So they are the immunogen. We call them as immunogen. It is any chemical substance when introduced to the body causes the body to produce antibody or specific cells called as T cells which react with antigen. So these are the antigen which stimulates the formation of antibodies. They are the foreign proteins. They may be present in the form of viruses or bacteria. Any other fungal, please mute yourself. So antigens, they may be fungal spores or any funguses, candida albicans, or it may be viruses or it may be in the form of bacteria. So these we called it as an antigen. They are basically immunogen. Okay. Now I'm going to end this meeting and again we will join after 10 minutes. Please be ready for this. How to end this meeting? How to end this meeting?
Recording loud.